Okay. Um, so as we're all getting on here now, I just need to know who are the live attendees. And welcome if you're watching this via the recording. These calls will be mandatory, whether you watch them live or you watch the recording, and I need feedback from you. So that will be, we have a 3-strike rule here before I jump in to get everything I wanted to say. There's a 3-strike rule, just like we run the basics group, that if we haven't got a response from you in 3 strikes, which with this group I really shouldn't have to worry about. An Emerald to Diamond group, you guys are serious. And so, but I just feel like I got to lay it out there is that, so watching and, whether or not I have a call to action at the end of that, or just simply saying, watched, taking notes and stuff. That way I know you guys, I know who's plugging in, there's a lot of us investing a lot of time in this. This is my wheelhouse. This is where I want to be. I want to spend time with you guys, but I want to make sure that I honor the people that are taking advantage of this time. And if somewhere along the line, this becomes overwhelming or something for you, you can tap out, and there's no judgment there. And maybe this is just not the right time for you, but I just wanted to set that expectation right at the top. So Kelly, as you see people popping on, and if you're popping on the phone, and I think Eric's the only one so far.
I tried to mute them.
Is Jeff's. So if you see I think the 2 phones that are on it now are Eric's and Jeff and Crosby having to listen through his phone.
Okay.
So, okay, welcome guys. I'm excited. I'm really excited about this group. Emerald to Diamond, this is where your business starts. This really is for those people, you get into the new coach and basics and what's my website and how do I make money and, all those little basic things. And you guys know all that. And so the coaches that I love to work with are the ones that are like, I'm ready to build this thing. I really want to, impact other people, build a team of my own, build a culture of my own. I want to, do something great. So I want to start with a little story for you guys. As many of you know that I had a theater background, and it wasn't long after, golly, it's probably round 2 of P90X. I did a production of a musical here in Dallas called Bat Boy. And in fact, I will look up, Kelly, make a note. I will look up a picture and post a couple of pictures in the group. You can laugh at me with pointy ears and a shaved head and a wife beater and leather pants.
And super pale.
I may actually have video footage of it somewhere too. I can dig up. And it wasn't long after that show. So it was the first, after I did P90X, it was the first time I saw like any kind of like muscle mass on me, or just, I just had never, in fact, I still didn't see myself. I look back at those pictures, I was like, Nelson, you're looking pretty good. And I still didn't see myself that way. But I had people coming up to me saying, I got a lot of really fantastic accolades and some really nice comments from that show. And people asking me, why are you in Dallas? Why don't you go to New York and pursue this thing? And it wasn't long after then that I went to Kelly and said, hey, I think at the time we were 26, 27 years old, or right about there, about the time we moved to New York. And I said, look, if I'm ever going to try this to make this really a full-time profession, I got to go where that happens. And I'd worked pretty consistently in the musical theater realm, here in Dallas. But I still didn't feel like it was like the professional level yet. So we moved to New York City, and shortly after moving to New York City, I got paired with 2 very amazing mentors in my life. And I look back, I've been blessed with a lot of fantastic teachers in my life, and people that saw something in me before I saw it in myself and didn't treat me the way I was where I was. They trained me as if I were already there. They trained me as if I was already a consistently working actor. They trained me if I already was a vocalist that was being paid thousands of dollars to sing. And, I look back and I've been really blessed with those people. And the thing that I thought about was that I didn't always like those people. There were times I would come home. One of the gentlemen's name was Jack Lee. And Kelly, I'm sure, can share stories of Jack Lee. And Jack Lee is what I kind of refer to as the Yoda of musical theater. Little old man, probably somewhere in his 80s, all hunched over, terrible posture, really bad turnout. He was a hoofer and had tap danced in his early years and still had this crazy turnout with his feet, all hunched over. But you put him behind his little rickety old piano in his apartment up on the west side of Central Park, And I would go in with my book, and Jack would really talk about telling a story and being really committed to what the words on the page were, much more so than the notes, right? And his biggest pet peeve were singers that sang really pretty, but there was no heart behind it. There was no story. I wasn't connecting with the message. And we would go through this, and we would talk about what is this song about, and where is this character, and what's going on there. And we would get into it, and I would start to sing, like like we would do "I'll Buy You a Star," like "I'll buy," and like I still would get to the second note, and he would slam it down and go, "God damn it, Jimmy, what did we just talk about?" And he wouldn't let me get through 8 notes, and I would get so frustrated. I'd be like, "Jack, just let me get through the sentence." He's like, "I didn't believe the first 2 words out of your mouth. There wasn't a connection. You were so worried about what the notes sounded like. You were so worried about were you on pitch that you didn't do any of the stuff we just talked about. I just want you to talk to me." He goes, "I don't care." He goes, "Don't listen." He goes, "Put fingers in your ears and don't worry about what you sound like. I need to believe the story that's coming out of your mouth." And he would continue to stop me and continue to stop me. And there were days that I left his lessons feeling like a worse performer than going in. And most people would think, oh, you go to a lesson, you want that teacher, that person that you're going to feel better leaving than you did going in. And a lot of times that wasn't the case. You can ask Kelly, like, "Done with my lesson. Where are you going?" "The bar." Like that. I'm like, I'm going to have a drink because that was a brutal hour of my life that I paid the man $125 an hour for. Like, here's your check to kick my ass. Same thing goes. I was also introduced to a gentleman named Doug Hall. And Doug Hall and Jack knew each other. They worked together. Doug was a younger guy, maybe early 40s. And he had an ongoing scene study class that I also went to every week. This one was during the day. And it was all working actors. And some people were working on Broadway, like at the time. People had done movies. And I went in there, and then what they would do is they would pair you up with other actors in the group, and they would give you a scene. And you would have 3 consecutive weeks to put this scene on its feet. It was up to you to find time to rehearse between hands. You didn't get rehearsal time. Class time was performance time. So, there were 2 people in my class that were in the Broadway production of Les Mis. So I would go backstage, and we would like literally rehearse in their dressing rooms. But we would get to class, and you would put it up in front of everybody, and Doug would give you notes. And it was something that and something I already kind of knew, but I was reminded of, that he wasn't interested in you explaining why you didn't have time to rehearse or why you weren't off book or, "Jimmy, I really, in this part, you moved here, but you're really supposed to move here." "Oh yeah, but," and it became what we call, and Kelly and I talk about all the time, it's what we refer to as just take the note. And you may want to write that down because I'm going to come full circle with this. Is just take the note. And it was an expert who had much more experience than I did, seeing something in me, knowing where the issue was, knowing how to fix it, and not necessarily it becoming a dialogue back and forth of why I did it this way or why I wasn't prepared. He just set a standard for me, and I needed to take the note, and if it wasn't right, just have it fixed before the next time you put it up. Or if he gave me another time to run through it, fix it now, right? And it was just take the note. Well, there was a time in New York that Doug and Jack decided to get together. They decided to get together and do a 6-week musical theater scene study class. So what it was a handful of us. I know it was really expensively out of our budget at the time, Kel. I don't remember exactly what, it was $1,000 or something like that, and it was just money.
We hadn't budgeted for it.
No, we really did. And once again, like so many times in my life, I wanted to spend money on something we didn't have, and Kelly didn't argue with me. She's just been so crazy supportive, even when it didn't make sense for us to spend money. I can give you lots of examples about this business, and I probably will over the next 30 days that we're together, of me stepping out of a comfort zone that made no sense to invest in me, and how that was about like 14 or 15 of us that ponied up the money. And there would literally be these all afternoon rehearsal sessions, like a couple of times a week. And I was thrown, so it was a musical theater scene study class. So you would do instead of just work on a song, you would do, so for those of you that aren't into musicals or whatever, there's what they call the book part. So it'd be like a regular play. So normally there's a scene that busts into a song, or a song and a scene comes out of that, to where these characters are interacting in some way and then a song breaks out of that. Or there's this song and there's a follow-up scene where it's just spoken dialogue. So they would partner. So like say there were 15, I'm like, okay, you three are going to be in this scene. Okay, you know, Jimmy, Mary, and Jeff, you're going to be in this trio scene here. And then, you know, Jimmy and Billy and Sarah over here, you're going to be in this. And then Jimmy and Robbie, you're going to be in this one. So when I left, I had assigned to me a good 6 to 7 scenes that I had to go learn music and dialogue to. And some of these were really intricate, like 3-part harmony musical stuff. It was just really challenging. And when we got into rehearsals, it was the most frustrating thing, because I didn't have enough time to rehearse all. I was being thrown so much stuff. I just had to stay in reaction mode. Like, I didn't get to come in prepared. I didn't get to come in. There weren't enough hours in the day to get everything right before we got it back on its feet. And I had to learn to just not be self-conscious when it was rehearsal time and you had to put up a performance, to know I'm probably going to get fussed at, to say, why don't you have this musical piece done now? I just had to set my ego aside and go, look, this is more about the process than it is about the performance. And for those of you that took my time to watch the Bo Eason thing beforehand, I'm going to really say thank you. And one of the things that was reiterated over and over at the Bo Eason event was the only difference between mediocre people and great people is their relationship with practice, and to embrace practice. And practice is painful, guys. The performance is easy when you just embrace the pain of practice, when you somehow embrace the grind. It's kind of sadistic, but you get to where you look forward to, like, for those of you that have been, I remember my first couple rounds of P90X, dude, even I did X3 complex upper today, and Kelly watched me do this thing, and I struggled my ass off in it. And just that, you know, he has these plyo push-ups where you have to go from one angle and totally contort your body the other way. And I'm trying it, and I'm watching myself on camera, and my form sucks. But it's part of the process. It's part of the mad scientist putting it together. It's not about Dr. Frankenstein and just having the monster. It's how he gets lost in his work of trying to put this thing together. And that's what that musical theater scene study was. And at the end, we had this big showcase where it was like all afternoon, and people could come and go, and people like celebrities, like Sandy Duncan stopped by. You know, it was like, you know, agents would come in and out. And I had to not worry about who was sitting in that audience, that it was, again, just an extension of what I'd been working on. And there were a couple that I had to have a book in hand. There were some things where I flubbed notes miserably. There's a couple things I totally went up on lines and had to call a line for. And I could have left that 6 weeks being really defeated, saying, you know, to be real honest, I don't know that there was any of those scenes that I completely mastered. There wasn't one that really would have been performance worthy had somebody been paying money to come watch that performance. But I didn't get discouraged, because what I noticed not long after that was that all these things that had been in my head, and I couldn't concentrate on it, and I couldn't grasp any one, but I kept showing up and kept trying. Over the next 4 to 6 weeks, I would be in an audition, like a legit audition for a show that I could get paid for. And I saw these things that I had been struggling with and grinding on just naturally starting to happen. They went from here and somehow made their way into my gut. You follow me a little bit so far? I want to look at everybody's face here to make sure you're following me and that I'm not like completely talking over people's heads. But there was something about these things that I just sucked at, that I just kept trying, that all of a sudden when the pressure was on later in a real situation that had to do with me earning money, I just reacted. I didn't think about it, and I just reacted in something that had been plugged into me so much by Doug and Jack 6 weeks earlier, right? And why do I say that? Because there's something about being around people that are the best, that want to be the best. There's something intoxicating about it. There was something of being around the rest of those other students that were struggling the same way I was. And some were mastering certain parts of it faster than I was. there were certain things that I caught on to faster than they did. Like, singing in 3 and 4 and 5 part harmonies was never, if I have to sing a middle line somewhere, was never really my strength. My ear, I really struggle with it. If you just let me sing the tenor part of the top, I could do that. But the minute I was asked to sing somewhere in the middle, I struggled with it. And so, but there was something being around a group that was all willing to show up and grind together, that you just felt part of something bigger. And you didn't want to not bring your A game because you didn't want to let down the other person that had done their homework, that was there to grind that day. You never wanted to phone it in because you didn't want to let the person next to you down, because maybe that was their favorite scene. I had my favorite pieces and I had the ones that I totally dreaded, but I didn't want to be the person that came there and I didn't bring my A game every day. Now, does that mean I got it right every day? Mm-mm. And what I mean by my A game, I mean my A game, I should call it my E game, my effort, my E game, right? My effort game. Doesn't mean I was great, but that they got the best of me every time I walked in, even if I just felt like shit walking out of there and I was just like, I was awful and I had to apologize to somebody. Dude, I forgot that line, or I hit that note wrong, or that harmony was awful. It was me. You guys were great. And just taking ownership. So I learned to take ownership. It wasn't a matter of, oh, this is why. Hey, my bad. I didn't do that. I'm going to get better at it. And it was on me the next day, or the next, the next rehearsal when we did that again, to not goof that up again, to have done my homework and be better the next time. Or I just became I became one of those people that people are like, I know, Jimmy, you're going to get it right next time. And if I hadn't made any improvement, doesn't mean I had it 100% the next time, but it was obvious that I'd done some work on it. That there's something about that is intoxicating to be around the best. You're the best. You're the best right now because you're here, right? I don't spend my time with people that aren't willing to set the bar high and be a little unreasonable. That's my goal. I'm coming in here and I'm setting the bar here, because I think that so often it's easy to be mediocre in this shit. I really think it's easy to just go, this is good enough. And I think you've come to this group because you want something more than what you currently have. And we're going to identify that over the next 30 days. And it's something I'm going to ask you to identify pretty quickly. Like, what is it about Diamond that you want to get? Because, it's kind of this sexy title, right? That Beachbody's like, ooh, Diamond. And, you get shirts now and a certificate and all that stuff. But what does that mean to you? Like, why is it important to you? Is it because, things change financially? Is it the fact that you've created a team and that there's at least there's 12 individuals that somehow trust you and you have them in your hands and you're taking care of them? Is that what this is about for you? Is it because that Diamond is a step, that is a necessary step for you to get to a financial place where you want to change the freedom in your life? That maybe it's you're not totally satisfied in the job that you have. Maybe it's because you got some debt that's really keeps you up at night. Maybe it's because there's something about your financial situation that wears on your marriage. I know for me, that was a very humbling thing. Early on, Kelly, in the first, 4-5 years of our marriage, was the breadwinner. Like, I would bring in spurts of money here and there, but I never had a career. I was waiting tables, or when I would get a job, a modeling gig, whatever, but Kelly was the breadwinner. And that was a little humbling for me. I was very thankful that she said, I'm going to go work the 9 to 5 so you can go pursue your dream. There's very, very few women in the world that would say, you go play actor. I'm going to go bust my tail at a job that makes me go to work in the dark and come home in the dark. And it's something there for a few years I feel embarrassed saying I took for granted. I would have built this business a lot faster and should have in the free time I had. But I will say that I was always willing to try something new. And I think Kelly can at least attest to that it was never that I was not doing something or not willing to continue to look at the next thing. And I'm going to reference some of the notes that I have here. So you've surrounded yourself with people that want to be the best. Be willing to be a little unreasonable with me over the next 30 days, to get a little crazy, to be a little obsessed. These are the things people are going to tell you are. You're crazy. You're obsessed. Why are you always spending time in that? I have friends of mine that are coaches on this team that had told me that and are now coming back around and saying, wow, Jim, it's really amazing what you created with this. It didn't happen by accident, and it didn't happen just because of when I signed up, because I signed up at the same time some of those other people did. It was my relationship with practice and being willing to grind a little bit every day and being willing to be told no and being willing to suck at something and being willing to, just like that 6-week course, have a bunch of stuff thrown at me and put as much of it into action as I could, regardless if I was, good at it yet. To say, hey, look, I'm gonna go in and we're just I'm gonna embrace this and just do what I'm told. Do what I'm told and figure it out along the way. Because we're never gonna get good just by you listening to me talk about it. And most of you, some of you have been through Emerald to Diamond groups or Let's Get to Diamond groups with me before. I want this to be your last one. And I need to know why it's going to be different this time. And that's on you, because I'm going to show up. My E-game is strong. I know you're going to get my best. And I hope you know that you're going to get my best. And not just my best, but Mary's in here, Kelly's in here. The support team that we have on here are people that are doing this, that know how to do this. So a thing that we need to do initially, and as you're taking notes, we are going to build your team to Diamond in the next 30 days. Like, set that goal. I had set the goal date for everybody was so that you could have 6 weeks, 6 weeks before the end of the year to hold Diamond, make sure that it's good and solid. And it's everybody will be Diamond Wednesday night before changeover on November 19th. I think that's correct. 1, 2, 3. It's a little under 4 weeks. That seems crazy. Like, damn, Jimmy, that seems crazy. Hey, guess what? I have another story. I went to the second summit. I think, as a 1-star coach. Had a Diamond. Because that was Paul. Went to second summit as a 1-star coach and I started, again, surrounding myself with people that wanted to be the best. And that was the summit. The first summit, I really didn't know much about the business. I really was just there to meet Tony Horton, and that was it. That was good for me. Second summit, Shakeology is launched. I shot Insanity by that time. We introduced Insanity, but I started, because of Insanity, I got access to some of these top coaches I had never been around because they wanted to talk to me about the program. So I got access to them. And they started telling me about what happened at 2-star. Because my goal, again, how do I help Kel? Kel's in this job she doesn't like. I don't get to see her all day. How do I bring her home? What's going on? So they start telling me about this quarterly bonus I get at 2-star, that I get to open a second business center at 2-star. Like, the more I was educated about it, I was like, oh, so in order to get all this stuff, to get a step closer to the life that I want, if I'm here, I just need to go right here? Yep, that's it. Okay. And I came home and built Kelly to Diamond in 1 week. 1 week. I talked to flippin' everybody. I got on Facebook and I was a flippin' unreasonable, if you see a theme in this call, madman. Not becoming a used car salesman. It was, how many relationships can I establish quickly and get to know people on a real basis quickly? How many people can I find that are already doing our products that aren't working with a coach that I can serve fast? When I look at coaches like Adrian Fernandez, Beverly Schlag, Shannon Lee, these were people that signed up with me really fast that were already doing our products. Because Tulin even. And Tulin was the most skeptical one out of that group. Like, big time. Maybe I'll have Tulin on one of these calls to tell the story about, she's like, look, we're either going to get along great or I'm going to hate you. Like literally that was the conversation we had. And, you think of Tulin and I, like, oh, Tulin and Jimmy were always buddies. No, we were not. Wade Lamping flat out told me, this thing's not going to work. Nobody's going to do network marketing, but screw it. I'll sign up. And I looked at Kelly and I was like, this dude's going to be a pain in my ass. And go look at his Success Club points right now. Right? But what I did is I came home and I knew this is where I was. This is where I wanted to be, which wasn't that far off. I think Kelly at the time, I don't even know if she was Emerald at the time yet. So all I knew was For me to get a quarterly bonus, I just have to go find 8 people that would like be willing to try this business out and place them under Kelly. Game on. Let's go. Let's think about that. 8 people. This is a mountain if you make it a mountain, guys. It's not a mountain. It really isn't. And if you do the things that I tell you to do, your life will change. We will get you closer to what that goal is. I'm really anxious to hear what everybody's like, why this is important. Why did you get in this group? And I'm going to ask you that. It'll be an assignment probably either later today or tomorrow. That and Kel, I'm just going to let you know, this thing may ebb and flow on the fly. I know that we've kind of laid it out, but I kind of go with the spirit as you know, like just kind of what moves.
So we have 30 days of posts that are already scheduled. So does that mean that there may be extra assignments and stuff thrown in?
Yeah, you may get a bonus post. So the first thing that we have to get you really comfortable with is your story. Your story where you are today. I don't know if you guys have been watching, but I've been doing this 26-day dry out, lean out video series. I've been posting it every day. It literally takes me 3 minutes to shoot. I put my phone up, I shoot it during my workout, and then I do a recap real quick, and I stick it all together. Anytime I get real vulnerable with my audience, they come running. It's not when I look the most ripped or I'm in the best shape or I'm on my A game. It's when I talk about the struggle. So you need to identify your story, where you are today. And what is being a coach? What's the role that plays in that? Hey, I'm not at the weight I want to be at, but I'm a coach because there's this really great support community. Hey, you know, my job exhausts me right now, but I'm really thankful because I'm a coach because I'm on my way to here. So many people wait till they get to a certain level before they feel they can share their story. Had I had an opportunity to share my story along the way, not after my 100-pound weight loss, I would have recruited so many more coaches along the way of, oh, dude, I made $30 this week. Oh, now it's 50 this week. Oh, now it's 100. Oh, now it's back down to 20. Like, if I could document the struggle, people relate with that. It's like you've probably heard it called the hero's journey. Like, think of people that have been very inspirational in your life or your role models or your idols. Are they the people like that just showed up and they were awesome? There's probably some amount of conflict. We learned in drama school, like the best part of the story, the most critical part of any story is the conflict. You know, if I came on and told you this story about the 6-week musical theater study class and I sang every note right and I booked a Broadway thing, you know, then I worked 10 years on Broadway and then I booked a movie, you'd have been like, great. You know, yeah, like you might like me as a fan, but you don't find yourself in my story. And please write this down. And I totally stole this straight from Bo Eason, and I'm going to give him credit. The more personal and vulnerable your story is, the more universal it is. The more personal and vulnerable your story is, the more universal it is. Meaning, as I shared, let me just ask you this, guy, and you can just do it by raise of hands or if somebody wants to pop in and talk. When I've kind of just shared these stories with you about, man, I had a bunch thrown at me and I wasn't good at, did you find yourself, was there something in my story that you're like, you found a little of you, like something you're like, I can relate with that, even if you've never like listened to a musical in your life? I would hope so. I see heads nodding. By you sharing your story, people are going to find something about them in your story, even if it's not the exact same story. So what we're going to do is build your business by you sharing your story consistently. Key word there. Not, I put it out there one time, and this is something I totally fell victim to. Oh, people have heard my story. Not necessarily. Social media moves quick. You know, social media or with, you know, in person, you know, there for a while after Insanity came out, I stopped sharing my 100-pound weight loss story, and people just thought I was like this fitness celebrity, and my business suffered. I gained fans, and there were people that met me later and said, Jimmy, I had no idea you used to struggle with your weight. And I was like, man, I really did a disservice because that's a really key part of my story. The struggle part is a very key part of your story. When I tell people that Kelly wasn't supportive, not that she wasn't supportive, she was just kind of meh. Skeptical and meh about this when I started. You know, they see her now and think that she's always been like drink Beachbody Blue Kool-Aid and been on board, and that really wasn't the case. Even when I was going to like event after event or training after training and taking me away from her and spending money we didn't have, I'm sure I think it'd be really interesting, because I think Kelly now has much more found her voice and speaks up. But early on, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kel, but early on in our marriage, if something bugged her or I did something she didn't necessarily agree with, she avoided confrontation or conflict instead of voicing it. So I think there's a lot of these things I did because she just didn't want to like cause any conflict. It wasn't that she was like super supportive. She just didn't say anything. Would I be correct in saying that, Kel?
No, I agree. Yeah, there was things several events that you went to again and again and again, and it was at a very stressful point in our marriage, very stressful point. We had a new baby. You know, I was commuting all the time, and it was so stressful on me, but I couldn't say no.
Yeah. Oh, she could have, but
well,
you didn't.
I chose not to.
And so, but I can share about the rocky parts of my marriage or things that didn't go in my business. So what I'm saying is, when I talk to you about this stuff, think there are parts of your story right now that you feel like up to this point, you felt like that's the stuff you don't need to share, and we need to flip the script. The stuff you haven't been willing to share is the stuff that's going to build your business. Not because you can do 100 burpees, right? Not because, you know, because somebody needs to be able to look at you and go, oh my God, if you can do this in this situation, so can I. We have to let people know, if you can do this, I can do this. That's what we're trying. That's how we build this business. Not by being perfect, because nobody follows perfect. If I'm perfect, people go, you're awesome, Jimmy. I could never do that. My goal is to show them, yes, Jimmy, you are doing this in spite of, you know, Eric, you're doing this in spite of, Robin, you're doing this in spite of. Yeah, absolutely. You're doing this while you have a career, this thing with the family, or this thing that keeps getting in my way. You know, I may not have mastered it, but I'm still showing up. That's a really powerful story. Even right here, I have the note right here. It says, when it comes to developing your talent, struggle is necessary. And if you're not willing to just suck at this for 30 days with me, you should probably just bail out right now. No harm, no foul. But if you're not willing to just be awful at this for 30 days with me, the same way I was willing to be awful in that 6-week scene study, then just say, I'm out. And that's fine. But if you're willing to say, look, this isn't going to be pretty, and we're all going to come out of this thing with bruises, but we're going to be better for it on the end, and there's going to be lives that have changed because there can be people that join our team. They're going to get to go through the same process, that are going to have hope that didn't have it before. Then, I'm with you. You got me in this foxhole for 30 days. The other part of this is I'm bringing my E game every day. And I'm sure you've heard me say this till I'm blue in the face. Successful coaches are engaged coaches. How much do you put into this group? How much do you encourage each other? How much are you willing to be vulnerable with each other about, hey, I blew it today, or I sucked at this, or I got told no, or oh my gosh, I came across as a used car salesman. Look, let me show you the back and forth Facebook message. You know, it's that way. It's when we're just willing to show each other our scars that this stuff's going to grow, right? I'm looking at some other things here. To make my mark, I have to be unreasonable. I think I've used that phrase a few times. Be unreasonable with me for 30 days. You know, I think that's something Mary's embraced really well as somebody who has a full-time career that works 40 hours a week, that she has built this business in sprints and spurts instead of burning herself out. She knows that she can put her head down and sprint for this long, and that she's got to back off and keep her sanity for her family, for her career. She's a great resource in this group for those of you with full-time jobs that are just like, I just don't know how to do it. I've seen this woman do more just starting on her lunch break than just about any coach I've ever had the privilege of mentoring. I'm so like I chest out beaming proud of Mary and all that she's done. And I get really excited and emotional because she just shows up and does it, you know. And
she takes the note.
she's the perfect example of take the note and apply. And then when she started taking the note and apply, then she starts creating her own. That's like, it's like, so Kelly's background is in tap dance. Okay, yet another story. Do you see where I'm going with here? How stories are key to, you're going to find a theme, guys. I didn't get in here and talk about your placement and here's your 4 coaches. We'll get to that shit. But so Kelly's background is in dance, primarily tap. And we're both big fans of Savion Glover, right? And if you don't know who he is, YouTube him and just be amazed by this guy's. He's just percussive with his feet. And he had an album out or something that's just like something about embracing the basics. There was a song about embracing the basics, right? And it's about hammering the basics so much till it's just so ingrained in you that it becomes second nature, that the creative part comes out. When you know it so well that you don't have to think about it, the creative part comes out of that. And this is what I've seen from Mary, right? She's gotten so good at these basics that when she starts to create and do things and take some initiative on her own, it's because these things have become so ingrained in her. It's why Michael Jordan, everybody's seen the clip in it was like the 90 finals where he goes up with the right hand and he's in the air and he flips it up with his left hand. It was just reactionary, this amazing thing. Why? Because all he did was in an empty gym by himself where nobody was cheering, willing to do the basics over and over and over. Dribble with my right hand, dribble with my left hand, do a layup. It wasn't throw the thunderous dunk down. It was, can I master the easy stuff? And it's easy to do and easy not to do. It's not sexy and it's boring, but it's your relationship with practice that will make you great. If I haven't said that 12 times already in a 40-minute call that I'm trying to wrap up quickly.
Can I say something right there, Jimmy?
Yeah, because then I got one more thing. Go ahead.
Okay, about practice and stuff. Looking at the basics group that we just went through and listening to what those people were saying, and I think you and I talked about this in the car the other day, that they get all of these price objections, and that's where they find that they're stumbling. And I think that it's not from people not knowing the basics. You hear it in the videos, in the training videos, or you hear Mary and Jimmy talking about it on the calls, but then when you're actually in that situation where someone gives you a price objection, you're like, but I think that with that practice and use this group as practice to, Mary and I were talking about this in the basics group, make a video of yourself pretending that somebody gave you a price objection and how would you handle it, and post it in the group and let us help you use this.
Yeah, or even, like I said, since a lot of what we do is on social media, screenshot the chat, I got 3 guys right now that are still like dodging me that said they're ready to go. It happens to me, and I'm 7 years into this, guys. So it's not like I close everybody that comes. It's not like I'm sitting here. In fact, I had this amazing little board. I had this big, talk about being unreasonable. So I had this big unreasonable goal to sponsor 100 coaches this year. We're almost at the end of October, and I haven't hit 50. Big flipping failure, right? Except that I have 47 coaches that I've sponsored this year. Not too shabby. Am I down here? No. I set an unreasonable goal, but even if I don't get to 100 by December 31st, I've done some pretty cool stuff for my business, right? But I failed. I failed my way to a pretty sweet paycheck. I failed my way to, I don't set an alarm in the morning if I don't want to. I failed my way to a life to do whatever the heck I want to do with it. But I screw it up all the time. But I show up every damn day. And I got people that still tell me no, and I still got people that I still mess it up. There's still times that I jump for the sale too quick, or I go to the closer. I don't find out their why. I don't ask them all the right questions. I don't, I start every month at Success Club Zero just like you guys. I'm looking to recruit 3 to 10 new coaches a month, and I fall short of that so often. But if you don't set a big, scary, hairy goal, you're not going to hit the little stuff. If you set the safe goal and you don't hit that, well, then you didn't hit anything. So let's all just get unreasonable and just scare the hell out of ourselves for a little bit, right? Because what's the worst that happens? What's the worst that happens? Your life is exactly like it is right now. And you're all healthy and breathing, and we all get to hang out. And it's not that life's terrible right now, but it could be better, right? It'd be better. It'd be more fun. I'm wrapping this up, I swear. I'd written this down. I said, if you choose to do everything we tell you to do, your life will change. Your life will change, and you will not recognize your life, not just when you hit diamond in the next 3.5 weeks, but really you're going to start reaping the rewards after that. You're going to hit that. We're going to celebrate. We're going to have a huge ass party and do some really cool stuff. But after that, as you see things exponentially grow, it's amazing. So you're not necessarily going to, you're not going to get to diamond and your Ferrari's not going to be out front. You're not going to get to diamond and your debt's gone. You're not going to get to diamond and your life's changed. So I'm going to tell you that now, because I've had coaches get to diamond and go, well, I didn't see a big check then. Well, of course not, flippity flop. You have 8 coaches and each of those have 2. You haven't created any volume yet.
But that was us
setting
too,
the
Jimmy.
foundation for what we're going to build. But we can't build the house until we set the foundation. The foundation is getting to diamond. Would you say, Kel?
I said that was us too. Some of the times where we hit biggest milestones, you hit 5-star, we were like, woohoo, we're going on a trip. And it was one of our lowest checks. And we were like,
yeah, the week I made 5-star was one of my lowest checks ever. And nobody told me that, so I was pissed off.
10 too.
Huh?
Same thing with 10. When you hit 10-star.
Here's a couple musts as I'm writing up. You must be committed to a workout program. And let me know what that is on the wall. You cannot build this business if you are not using our products. You must drink your Shakeology daily and share that publicly once a day for the next 30 days. A picture of you and your shake, a picture of a recipe, some kind of thing where you're letting me know and you're letting the world know that this stuff is so important to you that you're drinking it on a daily basis. Again, nobody is going to buy something from you. I think I said this in that Power 5 thing. Oh, that stuff that you have 4 bags setting up? Yeah, let me order some of that. Why? Who's going to order that from you if you don't drink it every day? Integrity, guys. You gotta have integrity with this. And it doesn't mean you're ripped, and it doesn't mean you're not going to screw up. But let's commit to it. Let's commit to, hey, I'm following, whatever it is. Even if it's a hybrid, I would love for you to pick a program and follow it per calendar. But I'm doing a hybrid right now, so I can't really say that's out of it. But I just need to know what you're doing and that you're sharing it in some way. Don't apologize for being you for the next 30 days. Good, bad, and ugly. Warts and all. I'm going to ask you to be you. It's going to be some of the scariest shit you ever had to do for some of you. And I get it. I know it's not easy. I've shared a lot of dark stuff with you guys. If you jump on crew calls, and I think one of the reasons I connect with you guys as my team and as the people that want to run with this, I think the reason you wanted to work with me is not, it isn't because of the videos of this. I think it's because I'm just, at least this is what I hear back is, Jimmy, you're real. Whatever that means. And to me, it's just embracing and letting you know what I struggle with. What's going on. And what's crazy, Leanne said, she goes, I have a lot of dark. You know what? What's amazing about that, Leanne? Is you have a lot of, okay, and I'm talking to everybody here, but I love the fact that you brought this up. Each of us have a lot of dark, right? A lot of dark, a lot of embarrassing stuff, a lot of self-doubt, some demons. Yet we're plugged into a pretty amazing community, wouldn't you agree? Like doing stuff like this in some ways is therapy, some ways is hope, being a part of something like this. Think about the people that have just as much dark as you do and don't have this and would die for something like this. They don't know it exists until you share your dark and why this is important to you. That's why I talk about, wow, Kelly and I had some really dark times. Andy Redmond, oh my gosh, like things have shifted for him because he was willing to talk about sex abuse as a child, crack cocaine addictions, alcoholism. Like that's scariest shit in the world for Andy to talk about. But did any of you judge him when he shared? No, you loved him more because of it. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you so much for plugging in. I really appreciate it. Sorry I ran long. I like to talk. So with that, and I really do need to wrap this up because I said 30 minutes and we're almost an hour. But I know I just get passionate about what the hell I do. And this is in the middle of football games. That's how much I love everybody. My fantasy team sucks this year. It doesn't matter. So thank you guys for taking the time to do this. Thank you for those of you that are watching the recording. So call to action. I need to know what your workout program is. I will see you. I'll see your Shakeology results, right? I know Dallas does play tomorrow, Eric. You're true. It's not like I gave up a Cowboy game. And you should come down for Thanksgiving. Let's go to the game. What else do I need to know? Man, Eric got me thinking about football now. I need to know, why did you get in this group? What does Diamond represent to you? What does this represent? What is it that you want to change? What is this going to be the foundation for changing long term? Because if you don't know that, you're not going to stick with it. It's going to be too easy to quit. And I know you hear this all the time, about start with your why, and that can get so overdone and cheesy. But I just need to know, what was it that sparked you to say, I'm going to do the work, that I'm going to bring my E game. Totally going to make t-shirts of that now. So thank you guys for taking the time. Thank you for watching the recording. Kel, Mary, I think we probably need to we need to watch this by 24 hours from now. By the end of the day tomorrow.
What's today, Sunday?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think so too.
I know that a lot of people just had kid stuff going on today. Can I just say one thing? I would love to see, as Jimmy was talking about stories and people saying that they have dark places, please use this group to test some of that out. Be willing to be vulnerable in this group and be willing to share those dark secrets. They're not going out of this group, but we can help you.
This is a safe spot.
Jimmy just went through this whole Bo Eason training about telling your story, and he can help you to craft that story using those dark spots. Not as, hey, buy some Shakeology, but to connect with people. So use this group for that if you feel comfortable.
And last but not least, our goal in this, outside of sharing our stories, maybe there's one more thing I want to touch on, is we have to get the business in front of as many people as possible in the next 30 days. And let them choose. Yes or no, it's a good choice, right? Yes and no. Don't be connected to the outcome. It's all we can control. I still can't control somebody signing up. I can't control that I have a guy that's been giving me a runaround for 3 weeks. And okay, Eric, yeah, let's share that, Mary. In there as well. I know Eric does a great job of talking about recruiting and, adding 20 people in 30 days and these crazy unreasonable things, right? You're like, oh my God, that scares me to death. Great. Cool stuff happens in scary spots. In fact, we can probably make that crew wide to replace the crew call tomorrow. But we need to get, and as we craft this, I want to help you do that, whether it's me hosting midday, call in what are crew call audios. I'm willing to do webinars. There's tools that we can use that have already been created, but we need to get the business in front of as many people. How does that happen? That happens by you establishing and cultivating relationships now. It's not about just throwing the business in front of people. What you can get started with right now is going back and cultivating those relationships, those lists that you make. The memory jogger thing is reaching out to 3-4 people a day that you haven't talked to since high school or college or whatever and checking in on them. How's that person at church? Whatever. Because you got to find out about them before you just go, hey, do you want to be a part of my business? Because that's where network marketing got a really crappy reputation. We're not those people. So go use until we know when here's an opportunity for us to share the business. Your activity should be in, establishing relationships as you share what you're doing workout-wise in your Shakeology every day. Sound good, team? All right. I'm thankful that you're going to be unreasonable with me. We'll call this the E team, the big E team. I love you guys to death. I'm excited to take this journey with you for the next 30 days, and I'm excited to pop, everybody turning diamond at the end of November. That's just going to be really exciting, and we'll find something really exciting to do. And for Mary and Kelly and myself, it won't just me dominating these all the time. I just had a lot on my heart that I wanted to make sure and get out there right now. So have a great Sunday night. Be looking out for a couple posts tomorrow, and I will talk to you soon.